What if I told you that a single decision from the White House could, quite literally overnight, reshape the way the entire planet travels, works, and even does business with the United States? As of June 9, 2025, the world is witnessing the dramatic return of Donald Trump's travel ban, a policy not only splashed across headlines, but one that has reignited urgent questions about national security, human rights, and the very future of global interconnectedness. Beneath the surface of political theater, however, lies a far deeper story: how this sweeping restriction could become a turning point for global economics, technological collaboration, and the opportunities that define our modern age. Let's rewind just for a moment to understand how we got here. In Trump's first term, his travel restrictions triggered fierce debates at home and abroad. Airports were flooded with protesters. Global leaders issued sharp rebukes. When President Joe Biden took office, he swiftly reversed Trump's controversial bans, with many believing the chapter had closed. Yet, history has a way of circling back. Now, with Trump returning to the Oval Office, the travel ban is not only back, it's broader, more calculated, and more far-reaching than ever. Starting precisely at 1 minute past midnight on June 9th, the United States imposed a sweeping set of restrictions, closing its doors to nationals from Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. But that's not where the list ends. Several other nations, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela, are now subject to partial restrictions, adding further complexity to an already tense global picture. Why these countries? According to the administration, the rationale is rooted in national security concerns, high rates of visa overstays, and shortcomings in those countries' ability to share information or vet travelers. Congressman Clay Higgins, a vocal supporter, insists, travel to the United States is a privilege, not a right. The White House points to recent incidents, such as the tragic attack in Boulder, Colorado, as justification for a tougher approach, even though, notably, the attacker's nationality does not match any of the countries affected by the ban. Critics argue this highlights the arbitrary and potentially discriminatory nature of the policy. Yet the ban is not without its exceptions. Lawful permanent residents and certain visa holders are exempt, and Afghans with special immigrant visas, including those who aided the United States in military operations, can still enter. As Christy Jackson of Laura Devine Immigration observes, the new ban has a wider scope and clearly defined exemptions compared to the initial ban, suggesting a calculated effort by the White House to shield the policy from legal attack. The administration appears intent on learning from past mistakes, crafting the language to reduce the risk of being overturned by the Supreme Court. Some legal scholars, including Professor Barbara McQuaid, argue that because the ban avoids explicitly targeting Muslim-majority states, it may indeed survive judicial scrutiny. The ban is likely to be upheld by the Supreme Court due to its non-express targeting of Muslim-majority states, McQuaid notes. Still, the backlash has been swift and intense. The African Union has issued a rare joint statement condemning the policy, and the United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk warns that the new restrictions could violate core principles of non-discrimination and international law. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal echoes these concerns. This ban, expanded from Trump's Muslim ban, will only further isolate us on the world stage. The criticism is not just political, it is personal. For countless families, students, and businesses, the ban means canceled plans, dashed dreams, and, for some, years of separation. Let's get specific. The State Department will not revoke existing visas, but all new applications from the targeted countries will be flatly denied. This seemingly bureaucratic detail carries enormous human and economic costs. Families may remain separated for years. Promising students, once accepted at top American universities, are left stranded. International business deals, partnerships, and research projects are suddenly shrouded in uncertainty. Abby Maxman of Oxfam America puts it bluntly, this policy is not about national security. It is about sowing division and vilifying communities seeking safety and opportunity. The numbers reveal the scale of impact. In the past year alone, African students contributed more than $4 billion to the United States economy through tuition, living expenses, and related spending. If these students are forced to pursue their education elsewhere, perhaps in Canada, the United Kingdom, or Australia, Not only do American universities face a financial hit, but the nation loses potential innovators, entrepreneurs, and bridge builders. In the technology sector, where the best talent often comes from around the globe, American firms could struggle to access the high-skilled workers they need to remain competitive. According to a report by the National Foundation for American Policy, immigrants have founded more than half of all American startups valued at over $1 billion, an astonishing testament to the country's historical openness. Now, with the ban disproportionately affecting African countries, the consequences go beyond lost tuition dollars. These nations, many with rapidly growing middle classes and vibrant youth populations, are increasingly seen as the next frontier for innovation, business, and scientific research. By closing the door, America risks missing out on the next generation of global leaders and disruptors. Consider the story of a young Nigerian software engineer who, blocked by a previous travel restriction, moved to Toronto instead. Within 2 years, he helped launch a fintech startup now valued in the hundreds of millions. Multiply that story by thousands, and the broader economic implications become clear. But the ripple effects do not stop there. The ban's chilly message reverberates across boardrooms and classrooms worldwide. American companies in hospitality, tourism, and higher education brace for lost revenue as fewer international visitors arrive. Hotels, airlines, and conference centers, industries still recovering from the pandemic, may find themselves facing a fresh wave of cancellations and uncertainty. Meanwhile, nations not targeted by the ban, such as India, Brazil, or Singapore, may see a windfall as skilled migrants, students, and investors redirect their ambitions away from the United States. These countries could emerge as new hubs for technology, research, and entrepreneurship, capitalizing on America's policy shift. Diplomatic fallout is also immediate and complex. Several countries have openly hinted at the possibility of reciprocal travel restrictions for Americans, raising the specter of a tit-for-tat spiral that could erode decades of cooperation on issues ranging from counterterrorism to climate change. International summits may become more tense, with allies questioning America's commitment to core values. The African Union's unified response is particularly significant, signaling a new era of assertiveness from the continent's leaders. In the words of South African diplomat Naledi Pandor, "When you treat our citizens unfairly, we will respond in kind." Legal challenges are already taking shape. Across the United States, civil liberties organizations and immigration advocates are preparing lawsuits, arguing that the ban violates constitutional protections and international treaties. Some point to the Due Process Clause, others invoke America's obligations under the United Nations Charter and various human rights conventions. Legal analysts caution, however, that the policy's carefully crafted language may make it harder to overturn in court. This sets the stage for potentially years of litigation, leaving thousands of families, students, and businesses in limbo. The economic consequences are far-reaching and in many ways unpredictable. American universities already facing declining enrollment and budget shortfalls could see further strain. The technology sector, a driving force of the American economy, may lose access to the global talent pool that has powered countless breakthroughs. According to the American Immigration Council, immigrants and their children account for nearly 1 out of every 4 entrepreneurs in the United States. Restricting their entry could slow innovation and reduce the country's competitiveness in fields ranging from artificial intelligence to green energy. And with the global economy so tightly intertwined, the knock-on effects could be profound. International research collaborations, which often rely on the free movement of people and ideas, may stall or shift to other countries. Multinational businesses could reconsider where they invest, build offices, or launch products, wary of sudden changes in American policy. Even the tourism sector, which contributed more than $200 billion to the American economy in 2019, stands to lose as travelers look elsewhere for study, business, or leisure. Yet, not all the consequences are negative. For some, this moment represents an opportunity. Countries with open immigration policies and robust education systems, think Canada, Australia, or Germany, are already ramping up recruitment efforts to attract international students and skilled workers. Tech companies in these countries are rolling out the red carpet, eager to absorb the talent that once dreamed of Silicon Valley. Even within the United States, some states and cities are actively lobbying for exceptions or waivers, hoping to keep their local economies vibrant. So, what does all this mean for you, whether you are an entrepreneur, investor, technologist, or simply a curious global citizen? The lesson is clear. Flexibility and adaptability are now more valuable than ever. Companies reliant on international talent should start diversifying their recruiting and partnership pipelines, forging connections in countries less exposed to sudden policy swings. Universities and research institutions may need to expand their global networks, seeking new ways to collaborate across borders. Students and scholars should keep an eye on alternative destinations, as the world's innovation landscape is rapidly evolving. And for everyday viewers, this story is a powerful reminder that global politics can touch our lives in ways we might never anticipate. The price of your next smartphone, the diversity in your local school, the range of products on your supermarket shelves, all are shaped by the flow of people, knowledge, and opportunity across borders. Moments like this underscore the importance of staying informed, advocating for fair policies, and supporting organizations that defend immigrant and human rights. Looking to the future, the ultimate outcome of Trump's 2025 travel ban remains unwritten. In the short term, we can expect litigation, lost opportunities, and diplomatic rifts. Some nations will seize the chance to welcome new talent, investment, and ideas, while others may find themselves isolated or left behind. Over time, the choices made in courtrooms, presidential offices, and living rooms around the world will determine whether this policy becomes a historical footnote or a defining moment in the story of globalization. Here's a little-known fact that rarely makes the headlines. Many of the world's most transformative tech breakthroughs have come from immigrant founders who, when blocked by previous restrictions, found new homes and built billion-dollar companies elsewhere. For example, after facing visa challenges, the co-founder of PayPal, Elon Musk, took a winding path through Canada before ultimately finding success in America. Today, it's entirely possible that the next great innovation hub could be emerging not in Silicon Valley, but in Nairobi, Toronto, Bangalore, or Singapore, fueled by talent and ambition redirected by policy choices made in Washington. As policymakers, business leaders, and individuals grapple with the consequences of this historic decision, one thing is certain: the world is watching, and so are we. If you want to stay ahead of these global shifts, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and let us know in the comments how this policy might affect your industry.